Alrighty, folks, what's going on? We are here with another reaction video to some Steam Deck, but from an average consumer and their thoughts on it. So, before anybody whines, bitches, and moans about the fact that I'm doing another Steam Deck review reaction, it's because different perspectives on a product matter. And for those that apparently missed the tagline for this entire channel, fusion of Linux, technology, and gaming. So, read between the lines, what merges with all three is the Steam Deck. Read between these lines, and that's what I think about you bitching about it. So, really, for me, at the end of the day, let's see what this guy has to say about what the Steam Deck is to him from an average consumer point of view. Because we've heard a lot of dumb, some really good points, but a lot of dumb too. So, again, I'm really just curious to see where this particular guy goes with it, because there's been there is valid criticism. Battery life, screen could be better. Take your pick. But generically, you know what you're getting into when you buy it. So let's see what he has to say.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing something a little different here. Instead of unboxing and reviewing a tech product, I wanted to share my thoughts on one of this year's most sought after tech devices, the Steam Deck. Now, I was lucky enough to get my hands on one before the December holiday rush, and I have plenty of hours that I've sunk into it, mostly due to getting COVID. But I'm not going to go over the specs and battery life here or anything like that in depth, since there are plenty of videos out there on that topic. What I want.
So first off, sucks that you got COVID, especially around the holidays. That definitely blows some balls trunks. I'll go lie. So you have my sympathies there. But so far, I'm liking what he's saying as far as like his perspective on how he's going to review it. He's not going to talk about the battery life and the tech specs and blah 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 and a lot of the stuff that you generically hear from most tech channels or Linux channels or all the other stuff. So cool so far.
What I wanted to do was give you all my humble opinion on the Steam Deck from a regular, everyday person who has no sponsors or any incentive to give this positive feedback. There are plenty of YouTubers out there that claim they are average consumers of tech products, yet they are sponsored by that same company to provide them a free review copy. Now, I'm not bashing on anyone specifically, I just noticed the trend where sponsored products tend to get more positive, biased feedback, and I wanted to provide you all with an unbiased opinion on.
So I will say, in that particular regard, he is not wrong, because here's the difference. People who put down their hard-earned money for it, of anything, any product, are going to look for vindication and justification of their purchase. So when people don't agree with that, they're going to get defensive about it. And these reviewers and all these, companies that sponsor those review units and all the other stuff, generically, those people do not have the financial investment on it. So there's a pro and con to that. The con is that they don't really value the product in the same way that a user would. So there is that aspect of it. It's kind of like when you get review copies for games and stuff, like that hot new game. I've gotten review codes and stuff. I got a ton of review codes actually, but the fact of the matter is you just don't view the game financially in the same light as you would if you drop, your 30, 40, $50 for it, because it's like, okay, I'm going to play it. Whereas this is, it's when they get those review units and stuff, it's like, indifference. So you can say it creates a unattached kind of review to it, which is good. Like, so therefore it doesn't have that buyer's justification that they're looking for. But on the same note, they also don't go into it with the mind frame of a buyer either. They just go, oh, specs. And that's kind of a shit way to do it too.
On the Steam Deck. So with that out of the way, this video will mostly be me talking, so stay a while, listen, and let's get started. Now, as with all tech products that I purchase, from the budget products that you've all seen all the way to the super expensive, there's always one question as a consumer that I ask myself: why do I want or need this? Now, I don't purchase things willy nilly. There's always a method to my madness, and is pretty much what guides my spending on tech products. Now, after determining why I would want or need this product, what is my purpose in purchasing? What will I use it for? Will I use it for how it's intended? Lastly, payment. For those of us who work regular 9 to 5s and aren't YouTube millionaires yet, how much will this really set me back financially, if even? Well, today I will go over all of these and then some with regards to the Steam Deck. Just to
So thus far, because I am very much in the budget end of the sphere, I'm not gonna. I'm looking for the most bang for my buck. I can appreciate every single one of those questions that he just asked because they're all valid, important questions to ask yourself when you buy anything. What does it do for me? Is the price, can I justify the price, etc.? Especially for those of us who work the typical 40-hour, 50-hour work week, and we have limited income. So I definitely can understand that line of questioning, and I can appreciate that line of questioning. So let's keep rolling.
Just to recap, the Steam Deck here is essentially a portable PC that you can use to play about 90% of your Steam games. Now, I say 90% as there are a lot of old, indie, or not as well known games that are 100% compatible with the Steam Deck. There are 4 categories of how you can tell if your Steam game is compatible. Each game has a category rating of compatible, playable, unplayable, and untested. So just be aware that games listed under the category of compatible or playable can be enjoyed through the Steam Deck, with the playable category having some slight caveats to the game or gameplay changes, such as having to activate the virtual keyboard, or games that require a mouse will have you using the haptic sensors to simulate a mouse. Why did I want a Steam Deck? Well, a couple of reasons. Chief among them was to provide this unbiased review on it. Another was that I'm a huge fan of portable gaming. Ever since I fell in love with the Game Boy Advance, I've always been on the lookout for handheld gaming consoles and figured this would be a perfect addition to my already large collection. Another reason is that my significant other and I are big time gamers. We have our own rigs set up in our PC room, and some of our time spent together is simply being in the same room playing our own games. I mean, yeah, we do play games with each other from time to time, but there are days when our interests in games just aren't the same, and we play what we want. With that said, I wanted to still play my PC games while being in the same room with my significant other, whether it be in our living room while she's watching TV, but most importantly, I wanted to play my PC games while we are in bed trying to fall asleep. Sometimes you just want to be in the same room with your significant other, but still doing your own thing. And lastly, I wanted the Steam Deck because there are just a lot of genres and a lot of games that are more enjoyable in handheld form as opposed to a mouse and keyboard or even a controller. The very first RPG that I ever played on a handheld was Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance. The game just felt so perfect for a handheld. I could pretty much game on it anywhere and anytime.
I'm waiting for a good place to pause, but there doesn't seem to be. So I'm gonna give him a couple, about 30 more seconds, and we'll go from there.
Time that I wanted to, but my favorite time to game was when it was my bedtime, since I wasn't allowed to do anything else as a kid but go to sleep during that time.
Okay, there we go. So one caveat: it's not 90%. Oh, don't oversell. Don't 90% maybe for your game collection. If that's your personal, like probably what you play, and about 90% of it work. Cool, awesome. I would not claim 90%. You're talking like 50,000 plus games across a wide variety of genres, old, new, etc., etc. So just be kind of careful with over promising. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not slagging on you. Again, if 90% of your collection works, be it from playables, verified, playable, untested, or supported, unsupported, Cool. Awesome. Love that. One other thing. The unsupported titles can work. Like I think you showed Battlefield 1. There's a utility, and I'm not recommending this for the average consumer. I want to make this clear. But there's a tool utility website, ProtonDB. They have a Steam Deck kind of category where people submit reports to whether or not certain things work. It was originally meant for the Linux desktop stuff, but they also have a Steam Deck stuff. So Battlefield 1 works on the deck. However, it seems currently that the EA app, the Origin update or whatever, kind of broke Battlefield 1. So things can work, but they just won't work necessarily for on a consistent basis. So unsupported is really just kind of do what you will. I've found a lot of unsupported titles that actually do play. Sometimes they're just more of a lot of tweaking. Not a lot of tweaking. It's like you have to do certain things to make them work, and if you want to tinker, cool. But generically, for the average consumer like yourself, at most, I would only recommend playing in the playable field and the verified field. Untested and unsupported, I'm not going to make those recommendations for the everyday consumer because that's not going to be what they want to play around in, because too much tinkering, too much wasted time. And I won't call it wasted time. For the average consumer, they're going to view it as wasted time.
Now, I've spent plenty of nights enjoying RPGs, Metroidvanias, and visual novel style games when the DS came along. But don't get me wrong, I do enjoy playing these types of games on consoles, such as on all the PlayStations, not so much on the Xbox or anything else, but that's a whole nother story for another time. Through the years, I've just become accustomed to playing certain games on a handheld device, and for me, it just makes a lot of sense. Recent games such as the new Fire Emblem series for the 3DS and the Switch, to the visual novel styles of Deathmark, to RPGs like Bravely Default for the 3DS and Switch, Dragon Quest series, Xenoblade, Zelda, and plenty more, just make sense when played through a handheld. Did I mention roguelites? Roguelites are also good on handhelds. Okay, enough of my rant and back to the Steam Deck. So, right off the bat, you may be wondering which option is the best for you. Now, for myself, I chose the 256GB model as opposed to the 512GB, as the 512 is $120 more than the 256, and you're essentially just paying for double the storage, which is also supposedly faster than the 256GB model. I'm not
I will 100% agree that Valve's pricing on the SSDs for the upgrades from EMCC to or EMMC on the 64, the NVMe on 256, then the 512, the pricing is like Apple level absurd. So I definitely do agree with that. So I would say the middle model for most consumers is the average price range that you could probably go with. Now, I'm more on the tinkerer side, so while I do have a Steam Deck, which if I can, Steam Deck, it's one of those things where I had no problem deciding to open it up and stick a NVMe in myself. But that I'm not the average consumer. So I would definitely agree that the 256 model is probably the best baseline model for most consumers. Depending on how gaming wise what you game on. Like, are you an FPS guy? Are you playing newer games? Like example, he mentions Final Fantasy. The game's like a 94 gig download, so it's not a small download. You're not going to get that on a 64 gig, you know, base model. Now you can get it on what he's showing is the micro SD card. Totally totally legit. However, uh, the 64's biggest problem is generically the shader caching profiles that it keeps, and that can eat up a lot of space. So I'm gonna go with his recommendation of the 256. I view the 400 is depending on your gaming you do and whether or not you're a tinkerer. If you're a tinkerer, it's a great value, not gonna lie. Or if you're just looking for a baseline PC or a computer, if you want to go that route, fantastic deal.
I'm not looking to use the Steam Deck to replace my PC, so I don't need that large of a storage to house my games. Also, you're able to upgrade this with a micro SD card and even an M.2 with up to 2 terabytes of storage, so why pay more when you can do all of this? Next, take a look at the games you'd like to play on a handheld. You all know which games I prefer. For me, playing first-person shooters or any other game that requires quick and precise reflexes are pretty much out of the picture, so Modern Warfare and any other games like it, it's not something I'm going to be playing with on the Steam Deck. Now, you could be different. Maybe you have reflexes and twitches like a cat and can play and enjoy those types of games on a handheld, but not for me. Along with that, you also need to consider if the games you'd like to play portably are even supported by the Steam Deck. I would say if you're able to confirm 10 to 20 games you can play on the Steam Deck, then it will be definitely worth your while. Also, as an aside, if you haven't noticed yet, I always take care of my electronic devices, especially the portable ones. For the Steam Deck, I have installed a glass screen protector, vinyl covering, as well as a hard plastic cover for the back. There are plenty of other accessories you can use for your Steam Deck, but I prefer the ones that protect it and also add a little flair to it. Now,
I got nothing to say about that. So going back to your collection, do note the stuff where he makes the note of the 50D, I believe 52 games of 256 or whatever, 250. Those are the games that are deck verified. That means they run great on they will run decently on the hardware. Let me restructure this from a performance level. That is not bad actually. As an example, I have like about 1,000 games, and I think about 150, like 15% of my collection works. So you're doing a lot better percentage than I am, bud. What I would recommend doing is if you're gonna stay in the playable and in the verified area, when you shift over to your library, I believe it's X, change the filter and do it so it's verified and playable games. You'll see a bigger list. Just my recommendation.
now for some pros and cons that I've noticed with my many hours, thanks COVID, with the Steam Deck. Pro number one, battery life. I know this device is still new and with every charge it degrades, blah blah blah, but at 100% charge and with the brightness setting down to 0 since I mostly play at night, I've gotten 5 hours of continuous play and the battery only went down to 30%. Pro number 2.
I will say, depends on the game. I'm gonna ask what game you're playing because I really want to know. um, and yeah, the screen, if you turn down the brightness, like any other electronic, if you dim down the brightness on a screen like that, it will definitely eat up less battery. But I think this is the first video I've heard a pro on the battery life. Not gonna lie.
The sound. Surprisingly, the sound is pretty damn good coming from these speakers. And the sound of the Steam Deck is like it is clear and crisp and has some bass to it, but it's not too much since it is a handheld.
So while he's playing that cinematic, yeah, I will say that the stereo separation from like left and right channel is actually really good on the Steam Deck for like the default speakers. Honestly, I don't think I've heard quality level wise from a handheld device that good of audio quality since something like the BlackBerry Playbook. It's been a long, long time. Not gonna lie.
But definitely, if you were to compare this to every other handheld out there on the market, especially the Switch, it pretty much blows the Switch right out of the water. Pro number 3, visual clarity. I was actually surprised by how clear the visuals were. I didn't have any issue seeing any items in any of my games or anything blurry like that. Although not 4K quality, it is still pretty good for a handheld, definitely better than the original Switch. I can attest to how it compares to the Switch OLED since I refuse to replace my old Switch with just a purely visual upgrade since it's pretty much the same specs. Pro number 4, it plays 90% of the games I want to play. Now, like I mentioned earlier, it depends on you and what games you would like to play, but
Thank you. You already went back to my point. That's awesome because even as you said, in my opinion, a good 80% of Steam games fall into the compatibility. And uh, so, in fairness, I would say it's probably generically about 60. So, depending on where you fall in that 60-40 split. But you are correct. It is depending what you like to play. So, for you, a lot of the games work, and that's awesome. So, I have nothing to complain about as far as that particular point.
as for me, the Steam Deck is compatible or at least playable for a number of games that I would like to enjoy. Now, on to the cons. Con number 1, weight. Yeah, this thing is big and heavy, coming in at 1.65 pounds without any accessories. In comparison, the Switch only weighs 0.71 pounds. So, in the long term gaming fatigue department, the Switch definitely wins hands down. Now, for me, I experienced hand fatigue at around the 30-minute mark laying down gaming on my side. It is a lot better while you're sitting upright, but not by a lot. You'll definitely get fatigue simply holding this.
I would say that the weight for some people, as far as just holding it, the left, right side in bed kind of thing, it really depends on you. So I'm not gonna say, oh my god, it's heavy, good like the one of the other fucking morons that I reacted to. It's too heavy, it doesn't fit my backpack, it's so heavy, blah blah blah. Shut up. Like you're not talking about that. You're just talking about the ergonomic like weight of it, which I would disagree personally because I find the ergonomics, like the back grips and stuff, to be more economical and ergonomically form fitting to the hand better than the back soulless of a Joy-Con and a Switch, if that makes sense. So for me, this is going to be more of a personal taste more than anything else. So I get that. I'm not going to rag on him for that kind of, oh my God, it's heavy. No, he's talking just like overall, like comfort, discomfort after a certain length of gaming on it. And that's fine. Like that's different than just bitching about, it's heavy in my backpack.
Con number 2, button layout, specifically the thumbsticks. Now, the thumbsticks are super responsive, so no issue there. However, they are placed kind of awkwardly as they are both in line with each other and at the top of the console. Now, why they didn't choose opposing thumbsticks is beyond me, but it is a bit difficult to use both thumbsticks. Even just one thumbstick is difficult to use, and I found myself having to reposition my hands each time I wanted to use a thumbstick, which is why, in my opinion, first person shooters are not viable using the Steam Deck. At least for me, they're not. I can
So if I had to guess, they were basing this off around the Steam controller, which is set up kind of similarly. So I can't really say that I'm surprised by the layout, but honestly, The what I get more of a vibe of is that they took the middle portion of like a PS3, PS4 controller because that's what's been used since the PS2 and outstretched it to the ends of the screen like a Wii U. Honestly, I don't know if I have. No, it's buried right now. And stuck it on a gamepad and put a screen in the middle of it. But there also have been other companies like GPD and a few others that have been messing around with this form factor for 5 or 6 years now. So Valve is just fine tuning a lot of the other Valve is what we went on a very Apple approach with this. So while the SoC, like the internals, is very custom, the overall package is stuff that's already been other ideas and stuff from other places, and they're just tweaking and fine tuning it to a point where it's actually usable for a lot of people. So that's really kind of what the iPhone did with smartphones. It just made it usable for most people. So, but I'm not gonna disqualify his opinion that he's not a fan of the positioning. Again, that's a preference thing. I don't mind where the locations are because of how I hold the console. So again, it's a subjective thing.
I can see this as a huge issue to those who have smaller hands, as you really would need to stretch your thumb to use the thumbsticks if you do end up using the thumbsticks. Con number 3, charging times. Now, I mentioned before that I was able to get about 5 hours of playtime with the battery going from 100% down to 30%. However, charging this thing takes as much as 1 to 2 hours, and even then, when I had charged it from 30%, it was only about 98% when I took it off the charger. Of course, you can game with this plugged in, but that's not good for these devices as it will degrade the battery faster since you are using and charging it at the same time. Bonus.
I believe the Steam Deck comes with a 65-watt charger anyway, doesn't it? Or maybe it's 45. Yeah. Can't tell right now. But yeah, no, just have as you can tell, I have that plugged into my dock. All right, there we go. So yeah, no, the charging time can be a pro or con depending. I know for mine it doesn't seem to take that long, honestly. But I'm not a big fast charging person, so it doesn't really bother me. Again, my use case is different. So yeah, if you're only have 10 minutes and need to throw it on the charger and need it to go, yeah, don't charge fast. But I could make the argument that the laptop that's over here that takes about 90 minutes to charge from zero. So it's about what I expect from a PC, to be brutally honest.
Bonus number 1, if you pair the Steam Deck with wireless earbuds such as the Black Shark T10, it makes it sound so much better. Trust me. Bonus number 2, if you can afford a Steam Deck docking station, which I would highly recommend you not purchase the official Steam one since that's $90 and there are other budget-friendly docks out there for half the cost with more I/O ports. You can hook this up to an HDMI and even an internet cable and enjoy 4K resolutions on a TV or monitor with a controller. I'll be putting up a review soon with a controller that I found that works perfect for the Steam Deck. So, is the Steam
Personally, I think all the JSOC stuff that they have made has been fantastic for everything that I've used. I have one of the first gen JSOC docks. I think it's the cheapest model, and got enough I/O and Ethernet and all the other stuff that I need. So I definitely do make that recommendation as well. That there is plenty of bonus stuff that you can get. So let's get into his conclusion before this video goes on any longer, because
Steam Deck worth it? For me, I can definitely say that this is a great purchase. I'm using it as intended, I'm getting to play the games that I want, and it did not set me back financially. Now, I hope this unbiased regular guy review on the Steam Deck will help you decide if this is something you'd like to purchase for Christmas. Well, at the time of the video release, it's December, or just purchase in general. I hope that my views and opinions mattered somehow. Again, I'm not saying to go out and give Valve your money. I just wanted to give you a real heads up on what to expect. Alright, everyone, thank you so much for watching, actually more listening, to my unbiased review of the Steam Deck. I really hope this was informative and it helps you decide on whether or not this is a good product for you to purchase. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and happy holidays.
So overall, I have no problems with his take or opinion on stuff. I might have a disagreement, but that's more of a use case disagreement. You know, battery life, as an example, I'm shocked that he would say that that's a pro, but again, depends on settings and game and all. You know, insert 900 other reasons here. The charging time, that's relative. If you're on the go gamer, yeah, I would say that the laptop-esque charging time is kind of annoying. So I can see that perspective. Weight is hand fatigue or discomfort is relative based on the weight. For me, the weight doesn't bother me personally when I'm doing long gaming sessions. I know the last game that I played basically all in handheld mode was Excel World versus SAO, and that was about 30 hours, give or take, in handheld. So I find the Steam Deck much more comfortable to play in handheld than I do the Switch. The Switch literally sits on a dock right here and doesn't generically move because I detest how the Joy-Cons feel on the Switch. I just can't. So many levels of no. But overall, I have no complaints about his agreements or disagreements. I think his questions that he asks at the end are very important. They're ones you should be asking. You know, does it break the bank, etc. I do love the fact that he's like, am I still financially solvable, basically, after? And it's just a laughing face. I'm assuming that particular one is because Steam Winter Sale. So that one I can totally understand. Steam sales will make your wallet cry at the end of it. But if you have a Steam Deck, let me know what your take and opinions are. Good, bad, indifferent. Do you agree with his reasons? Do you agree with my reasons? Do you disagree? Comment down below. You guys know what to do. And comment, rate, subscribe. And I will check you guys on the flip. Peace.